Good morning, garden friends. As many of you guys know, my father had passed, and it's been a very trying 6 weeks. And my garden is reflective of that. But, I know when he would come out and visit, he enjoyed seeing my garden, and I need to get it back in the shape that it should be and what he enjoyed. So let me turn my camera around and I'll show you. I'm going to be working in the area that leads into my meadow garden because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be taken care of. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm going to be working on. All right, so this is the area prior to going into the meadow garden that I'm going to be working on. And as you can see, I attribute the correlation of death, to how my garden looks. It looks dead. And I want to be able to get it back to the beauty and the structure that it needs to be. So while it is not ideal to do a hard cut of my hydrangeas, I'm going to cut off all the dead plumes. But as you can see, I have some fresh ones that are popping up. My endless summer here, just going to get the dead stuff cut off, trim up my spreea. Over in this section here, guys, it just looks bad. That is my hyssop. Get that trimmed back. Get my peonies, because I do not want, any disease for them. But it looks bad. But I'm going to get in here and get this cleaned up. We are not going to trim my forsythiums because the leaves will be falling off of it, and that'll be something that I will end up doing. But guys, look at my meadow garden. You can't even see the pathway. So we're gonna get anything dead cleaned up. One of the things that Kevin's gonna do is those 3 evergreens, we're going to pull those out because of how big my quick fire there ends up getting. We want to be able to expand the pathway. My Cannas, I need to get this stuff cleaned up. And back to the glory of when my father would come, and it would be nice, but you can't even see the pathway that goes in there. So that is what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna get in here and get all the dead stuff cut off. Now, while my spreea, the leaves are gonna drop off anyway because they're deciduous, but I just want to be able to get it shaped up. So I got some green that's coming on the endless summer. But like I said, I'm just going to get the dead stuff cut off. And as I'm cutting off the dead stuff, anywhere I see like a bud, I'm going to keep or just cut right above it. And the good thing about these guys, it grows on old, and then we have new shoots that end up coming up. That'll give it that real full look. So let me just go ahead, get these guys trimmed back, and then we'll start moving over to the other areas of the garden. Okay, guys, I lied. I'm actually gonna come in here and do a hard cut on this. What is this? This is lime punch hydrangea, because the shoots are coming off this way, which in turn is blocking growth for my sprayer. So, like I said, while this may not be the time, I want to get this cleaned up. I cannot stand it. And I will deal with the branches, but it will be in order. And I'm going to try to focus on the branches that are going straight up. So that's what I'm going to do. And in the process, I have hostas lined up here. And you can see, because of how the branches spar out, it blocks it too. And this is a part sun area. And then this here is my Joe Pye weed that was buried. So I really didn't get to enjoy it. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. All right, you see how me cutting those branches that are going this way, it's opening up the area for my spread. And like I said, I'll get in here, get everything cut back, because the leaves will fall off. And they'll just regrow back. But it's because they are not getting enough sunlight when this hydrangea gets this big. Okay, guys, so I've got my spread cut back, and instead of cutting all of the plumes off of the hydrangeas, what I did was I thinned it out really, really hard, and just trying to focus on the real thick branches that go upward instead of outward. And that was probably part of the reason, they were spilling over. In the spring, I'll end up doing a hard cut and get any more of the branches that are spindly. And then I think too, by cutting those guys back, because I have the hostas that line up here, and this is a part sun area that just gets morning sun, those guys won't be covered up when the hydrangeas would spill over. And then I'm going to dig up my Joe Pye weed and get that planted in a more sunnier area. Now I'm going to go start over there and get my hyssop, get my peonies all cut back. I think what I might end up doing is moving the Joe Pye weed over there. And then I do have some pansies that I'm going to be putting in the front of the bed. And then, as I had stated before, full sun, and with the shallowness of my boxes, I'm just going to have the lemon coral sedum in these guys for the season. One more thing that I want to share with you guys. I got to do a better job of keeping my sprays trimmed, because you see right here, when they spill over, it does not allow the grass to grow. And it did the same thing with the hydrangea. So let me go ahead and start getting this area cleaned up, and then we're going to get all the beds blown out. We're going ahead and pulling out my asters. Those guys end up taking over, and part of the reason my what are those lilies oriental lilies did not bloom as well. So I'm going to take those out. Okay, so I got the bed all cleaned out, and I was going to put my Joe Pye weed in pots and set them over here, but I'm not. I'm going to have it in the pot, but I'm going to also take my bachelor buttons, what is that, salvia, I forget what this is right there, and then I have some more bachelor buttons, and then the tick seed. I'm just redoing this entire bed. This is a full sun area, and what I ended up doing was I got some miniature roses that are going to be put in here along with lining the bed up with violas. We did end up trimming the forsythias, just to, as we're cleaning up this meadow garden. What Kevin's doing is so that he can have access to those shrubs to pull out. He's cutting back my quick fire. We're going to do the same thing, focus on the branches that go upward. But I'm going to be working in here to get this all cleaned up. So, all right, so we got the bed cleaned out, and now we're repositioning the pathway. But it's coming along nicely to be able to finally see the pathway. Boy, this definitely opens it up. And it'll look really nice. We're going ahead and getting this area cleaned up with these yellow flag irises. Guys, look at this. I mean, look at the roots on these. And then they have rhizomes that they grow off of. These are ideal for individuals that have property by a lake. But this here was, I think, 9 plants 5 years ago. And this is how much it's taken over. But now this will end up opening up some space for me. Good morning, garden friends. It is day 2 of working in the meadow garden. It was in worse shape than I had thought, but we're making good headway. And I cannot wait to show you what Kevin ended up doing. As I stated, we wanted to extend the pathway, but he like reconfigured it to where it's more of a step down into the next area. So I'm excited about that. Today is busy. I have plants that I want to get planted. I have a garden friend that's coming over that I have decided endless summers, Nikos do not do well in my yard because of it being a full sun. They are beautiful early spring, but when we get into the heat of Georgia, they just suffer horribly. So they're going to be going to a good home. It's 7:15 in the morning. I want to get those things done that I want before, he gets here at 10 o'clock so that I'm making some headway. So come on with me. Let's get to working and me be able to show you what we have gotten done. But first, let me finish my cup of coffee to jumpstart this early morning workday. All right, guys. Sometimes the best laid plans don't end up working out for you, but we were able to get the hydrangeas all the way to the back. Anything that was dead, cut back. I did a hard cut on my roses, thin them out so that springtime they will be full and lush. This took a little bit longer than we had anticipated. Kevin's just going with our leaf picker-upper around the beds to get these leaves up, because we find it's a whole lot easier sucking them up instead of blowing them out in this area. So once he gets done with this, I'll do a quick walkthrough so you can see what we got done today. All right, so the beds are all cleaned out. I cut back my 4 peonies back there. And like I said, I have some new plants that I'm going to be planting in here. We just did not have the time to get everything that I wanted done. We did end up trimming back, like I said, the forsythias. I wasn't, but with the freeze that we had, there was a lot of damage that ended up being done. And then look how open the meadow garden is without those evergreens there. It just gives me more space to plant something that is preferably low to the ground. And now you can actually see the pathway. Like I said, the frost really did a number on my echinaceas because all of those were fresh blooms and it just literally took them out. But I'm gonna leave them. But I pretty much limbed up all of my hydrangeas. The 2 there are quick fires, and the really large one in the back is my limelight. But yeah, this definitely opened it up, getting a lot of these plants cut back and cleaned up. Like I said, because of the frost, I do have some woodland phlox. And this is the funny thing about gardening. You see, the one ended up surviving, but my other 5 back there, I had to cut all the way back. Now my daisies here, cut those guys back because they were spilling over into the walkway, but they all got new buds on it. And then 2, throughout this bed, for spring, I got bulbs that will be also coming up. But guys, let me just show you this. I love the fact of, asking Kevin to do something, and he goes and executes it for me. So, like I said, with us taking those 3 trees that was lined up here, he ended up making like a step down for me for the pathway. Now, one of the things that I am going to do, just to keep, because this is dirt in here, I'm going to get some more of the blue star creeper and put in all the spots where there's dirt so that will fill in. The one thing that I did do, I had some tick seed that was over in another area that I just moved and planted here. But I'm loving this step down that he ended up making. And then, like I said, all of my roses have been back, and because these are knockout roses, I'm not worried. I mean, I do this every year. Hard cut them back, and those guys come in so full and lush. I did give my friend the lungwort that I had here because I just didn't like how it ended up growing here and spilling over. Now, I do have one that I'm going to keep, that I'm going to put it more higher up because, like I said, I didn't like it spilling over rocks. The other thing that we did, my lighthouse used to be over here. We chose to move it here since we cleared out all of those yellow flag irises. Now, back in the corner, if you guys remember, I had my Confederate rose. The freeze took it out and it still had blooms on it. So we just went ahead and cut it back, cleaned up my irises there. My grass is doing good. I had some echinaceas over here too that ended up being impacted. but this is definitely opened up. And while it is not filled with color, the next video you guys will see what I have chosen to incorporate into this garden bed. All right, garden friends, like I said, revamping the garden beds is an excellent way to ensure you're thinning out your plants accordingly, to make sure that there is good air circulation so that they can end up having a nice healthy start. And while, like I said, it does not look beautiful or filled with color, come the spring it is going to look amazing. Next video I will be able to show you the plants that I have incorporated into the area. Well, guys, thanks again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And if you enjoy my content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. I so appreciate it.